All right, we are live. Good to see you all. I thought we could just take a few minutes, and if there's anybody that has anything you want to share, give an update, that's cool. But we have, let's see, we have Don, LeBron, Mark. Where's David Workman? Is he still with us? Oh, okay. Maybe he'll come back, I hope. Anyhow, anybody, Mark, anything happening on your end with projects?
Yeah, let me see if I can share some content here and see if that works. And I will share that photo right there. Can you see that?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, that's my project for the rest of the summer. At long last, getting back to it. I started a couple of years ago, Al's Lieutenant General grant, and based on the book that Al, Jerry, and John put out. And I've got everything collected, carried around in a little toolbox. Got the decals from Al, got all the parts from Jerry from Shapeways, and the list of things that Al had. And I'm hoping within the next week or two, we'll get back to this. So that's it. That's my share.
That's great. You're going to hear more about the grant later on from Rhett. So it's
Fantastic.
Perfect timing. Yep. Let's see. Charlie, any news from your end down south on the M&C? Can't hear you, baby.
Yep. You got on mute.
Is your microphone on? We'll come back to you in a second. Let me just check in with Mr. Dobbs. Paul, anything new on your end?
I have done absolutely nothing in the model railroad department in the last couple of weeks.
All right.
Status.
That's cool. That's cool. Chip, you don't have to tell us too much because you're going to be on deck with a couple of other guys when we do layout design. So if you want to keep your powder dry till then, that's cool.
Yeah, like I said, that would be good. Yeah.
Joel, anything from you?
Well, I have finished laying out the hay barns in Alexandria, part of the U.S. Military Railroad wharf operations. That's going to be a piece that's going to be about 3 feet by 2 feet. And I'm going to actually try to do it 1-to-1 in scale. I just finished researching Fairbanks Morris scales for the scale house. And there's some really good photographs of the facility that were taken by Russell. So it was pretty easy to get the buildings kind of laid out, and the quartermaster map gives the track and the switch layouts. So it's almost like a shake the box craftsman kit.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Hey, Joe, you don't have to answer now, but I'm thinking, when we do the layout design segment in a couple of weeks, if there's something you want to share about your approach to it, what you're looking at, if you got a diagram you want to share, we could put you into the mix in that one.
Be glad to. Okay.
Great. Paul, how you been, man? We haven't seen you in a little while. What you been doing?
Yeah, I've been busy. I just started to get back into doing some stuff. I acquired a vacant room and met with DC on his software to lay things out. I've been spending 5 years on a diorama of Mission Ridge Battlefield. And I'm kind of leaning toward just moving that into the room instead of redoing the layout. I think it's just to start a new layout. It's going to take a long time to think it through and figure it out. So I've kind of decided to do that, but now I got to move a 4x12 down past the 33-inch doorway when I only got about 12 feet 6 inches for the turn. So
So you are going to move the layout into that
I
room?
think I'm gonna, yeah, yeah. And
Cool.
I want to finish. I want to finish it. It's like halfway done.
Right.
So instead of trashing it, I could where I'm going to put it. I think I could. Look, it's probably going to take 6 months to design. I mean,
Right.
DC's been designing his layout for 2 years now.
Right.
So I'm in no rush. I'm not
Cool.
going anywhere. And I just bought another general set. I bought the blue set to. I'm working on a display for the blue and the gray set. So I'm kind of been hunting a gray set for a while, but I thought I got a good price on a blue set last week, and I just got it.
It's gorgeous.
I don't think it was ever used before. Fired it up, so that's kind of what's going on with me. And I'm working on a Crutchfield house, so I'm going to start airbrushing 60 windows, and I'm going to get back to. I was hot and heavy on it when COVID first hit. Tom and I were like spending a lot of time building things, and then the good weather came, and
Right.
I haven't done much, but that's what's
Right.
going on.
Well, good to see you, Paul. Charlie, are you, oh, maybe. Not yet? Okay. And Mr. Ott?
Oh, well, I just got around to finishing my spring cleaning.
That's good. Don't start the fall yet. Wait a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I finally got all the all the dust off the streets and the spider webs out of the telephone poles, so I can start another photo campaign.
Right.
But this is all leading up. I want to get another about 10 square feet of layout done in the next couple of months. So
Wow.
we'll see how that all works out.
Cool. Good, good. All right. So I think what I'm going to do now is just go to, unless Charlie, are you up? Oh, can we hear you yet? No? Okay. All right. Well, you keep trying. Right now, I'm just going to go to Don Ball. I'll just show you one thing here first. I'm going to do, just to give you an idea of what's happening here. So this is the prototype modeling. I was just curious. I mean, I think some of you probably know most of these locomotives. This is Nashville, et cetera. Do you know what this locomotive is? Anybody? In the bottom left with the wood cab?
Yeah, that was the Texas when it was being restored, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. Yep. Very good. Very good. John or Rhett, do you know what this one is?
Yeah.
It's a 10-wheeler. I don't know the name of it, though.
It's a Stanton.
Oh, that's the
okay.
Stanton. Yeah. Okay. And then lastly, how's this? What is this? On the bottom right.
Can't see it.
Can you see it now?
No, we're all covering it.
Oh, all you got to do is put your cursor on that group and then move it. Keep your finger on it and you can slide it over. Whoops.
Whoops. What?
Is that the William Crooks?
Yeah, it is.
I can't slide it over.
That's all right. Yeah, if you put your cursor on the top, and then I'm not sure what kind of computer you have, and have your mouse hold it down, you can move the thing around
No, I can't.
the videos.
No, I can't.
Oh, too bad. All right.
Top locomotive was the Union.
Which one?
The one at the very top middle. Top middle, the first one in the row there. That's the Union. Built by Rogers. It was a U.S. military engine.
Cool.
Used to have another name before they stole it from the Confederates.
Got it. This is not the one. Okay, so I was hoping this was going to show the lineup, but it doesn't. I had a slide in there. So the way it's going to play out, we're going to let Don's going to share some of the work that he's been doing, and then from Don, we'll go to Mr. Borkman if he can get back on. I just got a note from him. He lost his internet connection. If he can't, then somebody just come in, or we lose. Oh, we
No,
lost
Charlie just left.
Okay, he's probably going to try to sign in again. And then we'll have LeBron, and then we'll have Rhett. So, Mr. Ball, would you care to go for it?
I have a little presentation of how I made a couple of 1869 period engines. I think I presented this or a portion of it at a meet 2 or 3 years ago. So some of you may have seen it. I hope you won't be bored. Anyway, these are both Virginia and Truckee engines. They were built in.
I can't see them.
You can't?
No.
Well.
Wait a minute. Do I? Oh, let me see. Bang. That was me. There you should be able to.
Everybody else see everything?
No, I can't see them.
Just looking at Don.
Switch to multiple participants, so you should be able to share that.
Do you see that?
No.
Yeah.
Huh. Let me try again. Maybe I didn't hit share screen.
Down at the
I
bottom.
didn't hit share screen. It's my fault. Okay.
Voila.
How's
Now
that?
we got it.
Way to go.
Okay. Now we got it.
Anyway, these locomotives were built in San Francisco in 1869. And what I really wanted to do was model this engine. This was the V&T's number 3. This is the only known photograph of it. And fortunately for me, Engineering Magazine out of London published these scale drawings of it. Probably intended for modelers 100 years hence. But anyway, they wanted me to figure out the different sizes. And I found out that the Kinkidder Porter Mogul. Any you familiar with that?
Yeah.
Well, they were made by, obviously imported by Kinkidder. There's still a lot of them on eBay, and you see them around.
Yeah.
And they have 40-inch drivers and not a very good motor, a typical 1960s era motor and whatnot. But I thought I could use the boiler because that was the main thing. The boiler and the cab were very close to the dimensions that had gotten off those drawings. So what I did to change it is, first of all, I had to change the slot spacing of the drivers, because if you notice on the photograph, the rear two were set closer together than the front two. So I soldered a steel rod in the old slot and then drilled holes next to it.
Jesus.
And filed them out for the new driver position. And
you have a drill press and a lathe and all that stuff?
Yeah, I do.
Dang, God.
You know, it's one of those things. A lot of this stuff, maybe not many of you will have the tools that I've got, but some things can be done differently. This could be done on a drill press. I wouldn't advise doing a hand drill, but on a drill press, you can do it. Mill Thornburg back in the 40s and early 50s in model railroader, he would use one of the old crank drills, you know, with the like an 8-beater.
Yeah.
To turn domes and smokestacks and stuff like that. So I guess if you're determined, you can do that sort of thing. But anyway, moving the drivers turned out to be much easier than I thought it would be, which of course meant I had to fiddle with the cover plate. I put a new gearbox into it, just a Northwest Shortline gearbox.
Jesus.
Cut out the bottom of it because the bottom cover was bouncing on the ties, and that didn't help a great deal.
That wasn't that the modern sound module?
It certainly looked funny. Let's put it that way. I put into bigger drivers I got from Greenway products. Other people have used Romford drivers, which work just as well, but Greenway had these at the time, so I was able to get the 48-inch drivers I needed, and a new set of cylinders, which I had in my scrap box. The others were just looked too small. Used a Cal scale headlight and some precision scaled domes to better simulate what was on there, and drilled the new side rods. It was fancy, and put a spoked wheel in the front. And then put in a small Sagami motor, which I happen to have. Weighted the frame down with tungsten. I don't know how many of you know about these. They're Pinewood Derby car weights. And they're about 3/8 inch in diameter, which is just about the size of the boilers we have. And they weigh about, half again as much as similar with lead weights. So that'll help a lot with the pulling power. And the thing is, I wanted to get the builder's plate in. Union Iron Works had this builder's plate. This is another engine that they built. This is on the third engine. And this is a reproduction being made for a reproduction of one of the engines. So I'd gotten a Micromark photo etching kit, which if you want to try any etching, it's very simple, very straightforward. Everything basically comes in the box. You just have to be able to draw what you want. And the rest of it, you can do it in your kitchen sink. So I cut out a piece of brass and then used a decal with the lettering, and I applied over the piece of brass. Now, I happened to have another brass tinder that was the right size, but I found out that the Bachmann tinders are identical. Same size, same length, the whole business. So I ended up buying 2 or 3 of those for future projects. And I'd recommend those highly.
What was the name of those, Don?
The Bachmann.
Bachmann. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I misunderstood. Yeah, Bachmann, easy. Okay.
Their parts deal, you can get the whole chassis and everything, throw away the parts you don't want, and paint it the color you want. And ended up with the story, complete with the builder's plate, and the rest are just standard precision scale parts: headlight, the bracket, the bell, and the little lubricators on the cylinders. So it was really a fairly easy conversion, a lot simpler than I thought it was going to be. Now the thing though that got me entranced is I had three sets of drivers and a cylinder, and I was thinking, what can I do with 40-inch drivers? Well, engines 1 and 2 of the Virginian Truckee had 40-inch drivers, and they were made by the same company. The prototypes were Union Iron Works. I had about 3 or 4 pictures of these type of engines and a set of the erection drawings that was in the California Railroad Museum. So working from those, I made a frame. I just soldered 2 pieces of brass channel together and then marked out the holes and drilled them on drill press. And then had 2 spacers that would go in these holes, soldered them in, and it gave you the frame. And then added the fenders for the drivers, the firebox sides, and basically the deck for the engineers and whatnot, the braces for that. The steps were just, again, they were just precision scale parts. And this piece up front to hold the pilot, I copied it basically after the Porter Mogul locomotive and screwed those together. And again, I went back to my etching equipment to make a cab for it, because you see the cab was kind of interesting. It had raised decorations around the windows, wood carvings. So I was able to etch two sets of windows. One was the interior, the other was the exterior. So it gave a little bit of a suggestion of a window sash inside the outer, inside the outer sheathing, and then made the trim pieces for the outside. And again, both of them etched up really well. And I ended up with a cab. I applied some molding under the cab roof with just some styrene strips. And I needed this strange looking stack. So I used my lathe to turn it, and then used Archer rivets decals for the seams. Nowadays you can I think if I had to do it over, I would have drawn it up and had it 3D printed. But either way works. And again, I used a Northwest Shortline gearbox. Had to make new side rods. Mounted the motor in directly with the gearbox. The tender, I used the original Porter Mogul tender because it was about the right size. It was a little too small for the other engine, but it had a tapered tender collar on it. So all I had to do was unsolder the wire beading around the top, took my shears and got an angle on it, soldered the beading back together.
Go away.
Make it sound so easy.
It is.
I won't be presenting tonight.
Yeah.
What was that? I missed that last part.
I don't think I need to present tonight. Bon's done taking all the.
But headlight brackets were again etched and soldered to the smoke box front. And ended up with another engine, again, complete with its own builder's plate. And most of them, again, were the standard parts, the domes. They had to be modified somewhat because one of them is mounted on the angle of the boiler. Making a boiler was not that difficult. I thought that would be the hard part, but I surprised myself. I used a piece of straight tubing for the front part, and for the rear, and then to make this little odd shape there, I just kind of cut out a pattern from paper, and it took me 2 tries to make a piece of brass that would go in there, but it worked. So,
wow. Anyway,
that's all you need to get a couple of engines. Oh, this is a picture of the real one. It's a reproduction we've made of that engine you just saw. He's using the same stuff I have, the same drawings and the same photographs I had access to. His smokestack's a little bit bigger though. This is all now at the Nevada State Railroad Museum where it's being finished. If anybody gets out that way, well worth a visit.
Cool. Wow.
So anyway,
nice
ended up
work.
2 engines. I started to get one, and then I don't know, got carried away, I guess. So anyway,
continue to get carried away, Don.
Well, it takes a little more to do a locomotive whether the parts are 3D printed or not. But I think it's worth it because then you have something nobody else has.
Right.
And they
That's great.
continue
Cool.
to run well. So
Impressive. Very impressive.
Yeah,
thank you.
for sure. Great. Okay.
Anybody have any questions? I kind of rushed through that.
Exactly.
What I want to know is, what does the sink look like after you're done photo etching in it?
Not bad. Just rinse it out with water.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
They give
All
you
right.
a little plastic container about the size of a 1 quart milk carton. You do the etching. And then the rest of it just can just be dumped down the sink.
Do they sell that as a part? Is that a kit you can buy from somebody?
Micromark has it.
Micromark photo etch kit. Okay.
Got the special paper you use to print your negative on. And it's got the paper you need to apply to the whatever it is you're etching, brass, or you can do stainless steel as well, as long as it's thin. And like I say, I've done a number of things with it, and they all come out pretty well done. So that's more of a tribute to the kit than to me. So anyway,
Thank you, Don.
Don, what did you find for colors on the locomotives? It's a really great job.
Oh, well, the ones I used there were based on some research that had been done on similar period locomotives. I didn't do it myself. I managed to get some ideas from a fellow named Jim Wilkie, who's a professional railroad historian. And
I was wondering because you had another. You probably have several locomotives where you consulted with colors on him with him.
Yeah.
I was just curious. I really like the color schemes.
So yeah, I try to get them right because it makes it more interesting, at least to me anyway.
Sure.
Yeah. More authentic.
Anybody else? Questions for Don? Okay.
All right.
Great work. Just remarkable work, man. I appreciate your craftsmanship. It's just off the charts, like a couple of other guys here, which is why I am not presenting tonight. So
you do fine work. Just turn around and look at your background.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. All right, here we go. Let's see. So I think the next one in line here is, come on, what are you doing to me? All right, from the beginning. Mr. Borkman, okay, you are on.
Okay, well, it's good to be back with folks. I want to show you a locomotive. Actually, I showed it to you a couple zooms back. That's not strictly a prototype locomotive. I have a freelance railroad, and that railroad, my HO railroad, was made set in the mid to late 1800s. And I needed a switcher locomotive. And this was my inspiration for my switcher that I built. This is a Denver Rio Grande narrow gauge switcher built by Baldwin in 1875. And this little thing right here is the locomotive that I built following that photograph there. A couple of differences, though, in that, oh, here we go. There's another photograph of that locomotive. Maybe you can compare the two and see how close I came to the feel of that locomotive. Differences are this model is 040, where the prototype is 060. This model is standard gauge. The prototype was probably narrow gauge.
3 foot.
3 foot gauge, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, the model's in HO, you can tell by the KD couplers. Well, let's try the next slide right here.
Whoops.
Oh, well, that was a good one.
Wait a minute. Okay, I'm going to stop the share and go to the other one. Jesus.
Yeah, they blocking me off too. I couldn't see his picture of his engine because of the people.
I'm not the only one having trouble.
I'm seeing the same thing.
Oh, wow. Okay. Keep talking, Dave. I'm going to pull up.
Okay, well, what I want to show you is, since I did not have photographs that I made while I was building the model, I simply took the superstructure off of this one, took some photographs so you can see something about the construction techniques. So this model was built, oh gosh, a long time ago when I was in HO. I'm in O-gauge now, so this was back when I was HO. Probably 20 plus years ago, sometime in the 1990s, I built this thing, which was before the era of shapeways and 3D printing, and actually before just the beginning of the era of CAN motors. So I used a mechanism out of an old Japanese import. Could have been from the 80s even, and built a new superstructure to cover over that motor. So I built a superstructure out of brass using basically a jeweler's saw, files, and some drills. So it's pretty basic. So built out of sheet brass, built the cab, built the boiler cover, the saddle tank out of sheet brass.
Tom, I can't see this. I can't see what he's talking about.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up what he's talking about. And
you can pull up that first picture if you want while you're waiting.
Okay.
I can't see that one either.
I haven't pulled it up yet, Rhett.
Okay.
Yep. Where did you go? Oh, man. Oh, save my soul. Oh, I know. Okay. Hey. Try it again. Ah, you had those two photos I've got, and it's, go ahead. Anyway, continue to talk it. Sorry.
Okay, I have a cursor on my screen. Can you see that?
No,
Probably
what do you want
not.
me to point
Yeah,
to?
I can see it.
That's my cursor.
Oh, that's your
So,
cursor.
Use your imagination here. And this is rather, I guess, maybe primitive ways of building a locomotive. The mechanism, say, was a commercial mechanism. The headlight, the domes on top, the bell are all castings from CalScale. So some of you all may know that company.
Yep.
The cab itself was cut from sheet brass. It's in two layers. The outer layer there representing the frame that you see, and then there's an inner layer that's the inlays the inside of the window frames and that sort of thing. The saddle tank, it's the red part there. The saddle tank was formed out of sheet brass. I think I bent it over a round pipe to get the proper shape there. And cut the front of the saddle tank out of some more sheet brass.
Wow.
Okay, and right above the cursor there are a couple of clean out plugs for the tank, and those were turned out of brass rod on a lathe. Immediately to the right of that in black, the running board there was cut out of brass angle iron. Filed away the part that did not look like a running board.
Looks like you put plates underneath it or something, right?
Yeah, and then if we look up above that, there's some steps leading up the saddle tank.
Yep.
Each of those steps was cut from brass angle, The bolts that join it to the saddle tank are made from pieces of wire. Up at the top, the handrail there is just plain old wire with some stanchions, commercial stanchions.
Right.
Okay. The saddle tank cover is actually two pieces. So there's a strong piece of brass underneath, and then there's a shim brass overlay. And the shim brass overlay is embossed with rivets. And if Tom can ever find the other pictures, I think I have a close-up picture where you can see the embossing. So there are at least 4 lines of rivets that go up over that tank.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the top of the tank, there's a water filler hatch there between the 2 domes. Yeah, that was turned from brass rod. The bunker at the back that holds wood, there's no wood in it, but the bunker at the back there, made from sheet brass and kind of emulating Don Ball there. There's a brass wire that's bent to shape and soldered to the top of that bunker. Just below the bunker there is a step, and the step is made out of a piece of ladder stock that's bent with a piece of sheet brass soldered over the top of it.
One thing that's pretty interesting. Oh, go ahead.
Inside there, where you probably can't see very well, yeah, right in there. Yeah, that's it, right there. That's the brush for the open frame motor that's in that thing. So this is pre-can motor.
Right.
But by having an open frame motor in there, this thing is heavy and it pulls like a champ.
Right.
Wow. So there's some good things to be said for those open frame motors, but there's no place, of course, to put any kind of cab detailing inside.
Right.
And on the bottom of that, which you can barely see directly under the cab in black, yeah, right there, I added a firebox and an ash pan to cover up the brass worm gear, because it's a vertical drive from that open frame motor.
Got it.
Okay. At the front of the model there, the pilot beam, big square thing there. The pilot beam is made out of wood, just a piece of basswood, just like the prototype made their pilot beams out of wood, and so is this one. Okay, that's pretty much what I did with this thing.
One of the interesting details with this is there's a headlight on the back end of the cab.
No, there's a headlight on the back. There's a headlight on the back of the Rio Grande locomotive, a little bit higher than mine. I didn't like the headlight up quite that high. So I made a headlight bracket out of sheet brass, soldered it in place, put the headlight on top of that.
So they were running this evidently at night in reverse as a switcher engine in the yard?
Oh, sure. Switcher goes in both directions.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there was another reason for that. And that was that they used that lamp for the yard duties. So they could see all the stuff when they were doing all the reverse stuff in the yard.
Oh, okay. So it was actually like a spotlight on the yard so they can see what they were doing.
Yep. Yeah, but in the U.S. Military Railroad in Alexandria, I have several photographs of locomotives with both forward headlights and back headlights operating in the yards for the Union Street and going through the tunnel, the Wilk Street tunnel that's still there today.
Cool. I love the weathering on that, David. Really nice.
Yeah, I hope that the model bears at least more than a passing resemblance to the prototype.
Yep. Cool. Any other questions for David or comments?
Looks, I like it.
I really like the
Thanks, Ron.
switcher.
Very good,
It's
Dave.
so rare to see switchers from this period, and there were lots of them. But you don't see too many models because they're really small.
Right. Yeah, nicely done. Cool. All right. So, LeBron, are you ready, sir?
I'm ready, sir. Okay, I modeled the Western Atlantic, and I built my roster using article Locomotives of the Western Atlantic by Raymond Cornell and James Bogle. out of the Atlanta Historical Bulletin. To my knowledge, there are no photographs of Western Atlantic engines, with the possible exception of the General that we've seen already on one of these presentations. One of the things I like about the period is that all the locomotives are different. And the colors are based largely upon the manufacturer more so than the railroad itself. This is a Norris locomotive built on a Mantua General frame. I picked a Norris locomotive, and then having picked that locomotive, I went to John White's book on the American locomotive and found the Copiapo, which was built in 1850 for a Chile railroad in South America. And in that it had a photograph of the Beaver, which built for the Pittsburgh, Fort Wayne, and Chicago Railroad. And then the drawings of the Copiapo, which is, the book says it's still preserved in South America in its original state. A couple of things on this locomotive. You notice I used the Bury boiler and firebox. I took a Lafayette locomotive by Bachman and kit bashed it to fit onto a Mantua frame. So that gives it a characteristic look. And the sandbox is a box instead of the dome. And so I just fabricated that out of styrene. All of the rest of the headlight, bell, all are just either the precision scale or cow scale castings. One of the things that I noted about the Norris that I liked was that the fenders had a wheel cover that was made out of sheet brass and attached with flush roots. The manufacturer's name was put on those, so I made some decals for that and put that together.
Damn.
That gave me a nice, unique locomotive. One of the things about all the Western Atlantic locomotives is they had a horizontal pilot attached to the front that was fabricated in Atlanta and added after the locomotive was delivered. I fabricated my fender covers out of styrene. And the Norris had a distinctive red and green paint scheme. They were really bright. And I too consulted with Jim Wilkie on the paint colors for this. Took me forever to get the green, get him to approve my green.
I love it.
He kept saying it was too light or too bright. So,
did you send them test photos first, or did you paint the thing and then have to repaint it again and again?
Well, I did a little bit of both.
Okay.
I sent him a photograph after the first paint, and he corrected me.
Right.
All right.
So a couple of things. I see you. It looks like you have a narrow wheelbase pilot. That's not a Mantua, is it?
No, I fabricated that myself out of brass, sheet brass.
Days. And you have an angle on the. This looks like one of those full-blown crosshead guides, right? That's not the Mantua.
No, that is the Mantua.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's
okay.
just put it in at an angle.
Got it. And then did you add these bands?
The bands are styrene.
Got it.
I've worked with styrene. It's easier for me than brass. I would love to learn how to do some more stuff with brass, but styrene is real easy to work with.
And I noticed you made this more prototypical. The gap is much narrower, right? Right.
I've replaced the connection between the tender and the locomotive with a smaller piece I fabricated out of styrene.
Cool. Texas. Right? Here's just a couple.
Did you get my photograph I sent you of the
I
Texas?
did. This is setting it up. This is just setting it up. And then what it was in the Atlanta Museum, and then the restoration monstrosity, and then boom, boom.
Yeah, that's my Texas. I ended up building this based on Dave Schneider's SMR Texas. I looked at all the pictures and drawings that you showed, Tom, plus some others, Alexander, for example, and I concluded that Dave's is probably as close to accurate as you can get. Again, this is just a Mantua General, and the boiler is fabricated from styrene, and I've got a photograph of how I did the General later on. I think that that photograph was made on your layout, Tom. And that's it. So go into the next one, Tom.
I have a question on this. No. Decals on these, right? On the pilot wheels?
Yeah. I just got those decals from Microscale.
And is this a decal on the dome?
Yes.
It is. Okay. Did you make these? Because I don't remember any yellow stripes in any of the decals.
Yeah, that's in the Western Atlantic.
Micro scale?
Yeah, I think so.
Dang. Okay. Cool.
And the builder's plate is one of the etchings I got from Al.
Right. Right. This isn't. You replaced the whatever that thing is there, didn't you?
Yes.
What is that supposed to be?
Check valve.
Check valve.
Yeah.
Got it.
Again, I put the cylinders at a slight angle.
Yep.
You'll be more prototypical.
Got it. Toolbox on the back end. Next one.
Next one.
We all know that one.
Yeah, this is probably the General. It is the only known photograph of the General from the Civil War era. This locomotive is definitely a locomotive in Atlanta in 1864. It was destroyed there at the Tom's Rolling Mill.
Right. You can see the stacks in the back here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I use this photograph for a lot of my detail. Go ahead to the next.
The thing that strikes me is how narrow that ankle rail is.
It is very narrow,
right,
on this particular one.
Rebuild.
All right. Here is the boiler I built out of styrene. You know, Don, like you, I found it fairly simple. I started with a styrene tube, and then when I got to the wagon part of it, I just layered that, and I put I filed the front smooth, and then put a very thin sheet on it. Then I added my bands, and that was the.
How did you get the angle of this thing, if that's a band? Is that like one piece that's rolled over, or did you file?
That part, you got your arrow on there, the expand part. I just put several layers on top of the original tube.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then I filed the angle to match the drawings that I had of it. And then a very thin sheet of styrene over that just to make sure it was nice and smooth.
Right.
Then I hid the joint with the strap.
Right.
And,
is that a Johnson bar?
It is.
And this is are these seats?
They are.
Ah, ziggity doo. Okay. You ready for the next one?
Yeah, go on to the next one. One of the things I like my cab to be open and visible on the inside. Just the thing. I started with a Mantua cab. I replaced the angled roof with a curved roof, and you use sheet brass on it. One of the things I do is take that top part of the cab and fill it with lead to give me some weight over the rear driver.
Right.
And then the next slide has the final
product.
That's final. Didn't I send you another one of the just the? Oh well. But that's the final product there. I thought I had another photograph.
What did you use for your? Is this styrene as well? The ankle rail?
No, the ankle rail is brass angled.
Oh.
With
okay.
And my fenders are also brass. Again, I have a builder's plate I got from Al.
Right.
The smokestack is a precision scale. I put a washer on top of the smokestack, and that gives a little more height to it, and it looks a little more prototypical.
I think that's going to have to come off the top, though.
Yeah, I've got that on mine. After last discussion, or last section's discussion, it won't be the first time I had to change something because of this group.
Right. And all these decals on the pilot wheels and on the tender, these are from Microscale, that
yes.
package? Okay.
Yeah. Well, the yellow stripe around the base of the tender is just from another set, just a set of stripes.
Okay.
These locomotives are extremely colorful. Well, they used up to 10, 12 or more different colors on this one locomotive.
Wow.
Yeah. And so,
oops.
Any questions?
Comments?
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, really great.
Very nice.
Great job, LeBron.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What's the wood from?
This?
I cut the wood from on the tender. I cut it from sticks.
Okay, but you cut it in a way that it looks like it was chopped.
I did. What I do is cut it into the length, and then just take an X-Acto blade and use
split
it, and split that way. It looks like it's chopped.
What length is that supposed to represent? About 18 inches?
But what I've read is they used about an 18-inch to 20-inch log.
Okay.
And looking at the photographs, I just piled it in because it looks like most of the photographs I've looked at that the wood wasn't stacked, but it just piled into the tender.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They were in a hurry.
They were. Labor was cheap.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the cool things about this photo is your backdrop, man. I mean, this looks 3D, and it's a flat. You're really masterful at your backdrops as well.
What's a flat about it?
Well,
it's just what's so flat about it?
No, it's not a flat. Those are buildings. They're three-dimensional.
The front one is, but there are some in the background that are not.
Right. Whoops. Dang. Yep.
Tom, you keep doing that, and that photograph is so fuzzy, and that's not what I gave you.
Baby, I put up what you gave me.
No. You should have told me that.
Oh, okay. Well, anything else for LeBron?
Great.
Cool. All right, Brett.
Hey, Tom, you know what's
good?
That's from the old group of pictures I sent you. The new group is not like that.
Oh.
That's what happened. You mixed them up.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Well, this is The Crooks, the Sheridan, and the Grant.
Yeah, which I had sent before.
Right. Well, this is what you got, baby. You got to live with it for now. So you ready to go on?
Oh, I'm going to kill you.
That's all right.
All right. That's a little better. That's what I sent you. Okay. This first, right off the bat, this is kudos to John Ott. These are his decals that he did for me. This is the Pocahontas, which I guess was a fantasy, if you will. John, you'd be able to answer that question.
Yeah, it's not based on anything absolutely genuine.
It's really beautiful, though. Anyway, okay, this is a Crooks. I guess most of you guys are familiar with the Crooks, and everybody always complains about the Crooks being not a good runner. Well, I have 3 of them, and they all run great. You just have to make sure you weight them properly, because when they come from the factory, this engine, if you put the 2 cars that comes with it on the back of it, it'll just sit there and spin. So I remotored it. I've got some other pictures, but this picture was basically to show the control rods that both go into the snifter valves on the cylinder underneath, and the other rod goes to the crosshead pump going into the check valve to control.
I think the next photo shows that even better, right? Want me to go to the next one?
Okay. Yep, you're right. There you go. I made a little bit of an error here. That rod that's sticking up in the top, I should have cut it shorter, about half the height, but I liked it, so I left it. Also, we'll show it later in other pictures. I simulated the rocker arms on the valve gear. And I've got both the valve gear the rods that rock coming from the front wheel, which would have an offset gear, a crankcase. Crank axle is what they call it. And then, of course, I put in the, a whole bunch of stuff here. I put in the snifter valves, which is that's right. Also the control rods, again, you can see them better. Then I also added the control arm to the whistle up there, which didn't come with the thing. And again, that's one of John Ott's decals on the sandbox. And also on the headlamp.
Is this a plate from Al? Builder's plate?
No. That came on the engine.
Oh, okay.
And I was waiting. There's a decal that's made for that, but I'm waiting to find it. On the other 2 Crookses, I kind of put a color of black and then burnished them so that the brass would come through, but I wasn't real happy with it. So right. The other thing I did was if you look at their crosshead pumps on the picture of the real engine, you'll see that those little balls that are basically reserves are on the engine, but they don't come on the Crooks. And those are actually just little beads. Yeah. And let's go to one other thing. Back once. This was one of the hardest things for me to do. Was the original, one of the reasons I got this engine was I got it cheap because it had been smashed, and the front headlamp, that beautiful lacy work that they did on that was gone. It was just smashed to pieces. So I got this piece from Precision Scale. It's the one that goes on. I'm trying to think of the Mason that's the 464, which is the little engine they made for the Colorado railroads.
Mason buggy.
Yes, that's right. I had one once. I sold it because it didn't fit my railroad. Anyway, this this, I had to bend in a circular fashion on each side for it to fit. But I'll be damned if I could get this thing soldered on. Every time I get one side done, the other side come off. I finally got it. So yeah, let's go to the next one, Tom, quick. Yeah, here's a picture of, first of all, the tender, which is, again, this is showing John Ott's decals, which are beautiful. And I got the coloring for the trucks out of actually, John, one of your presentations of a drawing. And I thought it was great how it was, they had lightened, like, and I used silver on the springs anyway. That's just my idea. Here on the underneath side, I added weight by taking a lead weight and carving it to look like a smoke box underneath. And then I've also got the feed water pipes, which are actually plus and minus. That's how I get my negative from the tender. And then I feed it up to the headlight that way. And then it also shows in here is the axle and those are the rocker valves and the rods. Yes, a little hard to see there, but I'll give you an idea. All right, let's move on. Sure. Oh, here we go. Engine number 2. This is Al's fantasy version of if the Grant had a sister. This would be it. John had made the decals for this engine, which didn't exist at all. I got bits and pieces from Tom, and John had made these decals for him, maybe 3 years ago. And so I thought I would honor Alan's idea of this, and I built the engine as best I could think of the way it went. I added a couple of things of my own. First of all, I helped Jerry design the crosshead guides where you didn't have to solder 2 pieces together. It was all one piece and it was connected in the back. So you didn't have to do anything. I literally on this, I actually AC glued them on. I didn't have to worry about it, which is great. Again, the headlamp and this headlamp bracket was part of a lot of you guys have seen, you use the old-fashioned ornate bracket from Precision Scale. I cut it in half and got it to fit in here perfectly. And the other thing, if you guys can see the flag post on here, those are hand turned by me and the Dremel tool. I held a file to it while it was spinning around. It was a piece of copper, aluminum tubing. And once I did one, I had to do a whole bunch of them once I figured it out. The other thing on this engine is I added full cab weight, although as I was explaining to Tom, I can take the cab right off because the only thing that's holding it on is the hand rods on the boiler. It's not glued on, and that's way if I want to take the weight out for any showing, I can do that. But I wanted this engine will pull literally about 15 boxcars. I managed to find the wheels that had the traction tires on them too. So, okay. I think, I wanted to explain that I got the Oilers. Those are the real McCoys on the cylinder tops. I got those from Precision Scale. Nobody knew they had them. They're the ones. And so there we go with that. I added the spoked wheels in the front. I also added a complete deck on the between the shell of the tender and platform at the bottom for the trucks, and it's got a piece of brass all the way around. Okay, and you can see here, again, the feed water pipes going into the tender.
Right.
All right, that's enough of that one. And there it is, pulling the artillery. Those are those cars, those cannon cars I had literally done 10 years ago. And except the trucks are new. And unfortunately, these are beautiful trucks from BTS. They don't have any more. The guy that was making them is not making them for Bill anymore. And so, woe is me. All right.
Yeah, they're beautiful trucks. Somebody's got to do them in 3D one of these days.
Well, these are solid brass, which is, you know, they there's weight to them at least. And again, this is all right. This is the grant. And what I did here is I did a mock simile of what I saw, we'll see in the future, of the valve gear off of that one picture of him. I know it's not correct, but at least you'll see I did the top side. This was to hold it in. And again, here's the feed water pipes and the other trucks. All right, let's move to the next picture now, Tom. Yeah, you can see, if you get this in your head, you'll see this is what it looks like from this angle in the photograph. And that's what I simulated in the engine that I did.
Right. There's one happy dude.
Yeah, according to, who was telling me? Oh, Jerry Job was telling me that this guy was the guy that painted the engine, painted all the filigree.
Wow.
And did all the work. And he's the one that's, come on, you guys, let's celebrate this. Jerry told me that, I don't know. There you go, that's it. There you can see it, right. And of course, you can see that I put the, this is interesting. This engine was one of the first engines that you would see. It totally used steam-driven injectors from the tender going into the pipe that goes into the check valves under the running board in the front. I had done an engine for Tom, I guess 10 years ago. Was number 51, Tom? I'm not sure. Yep, where he'd had two steam injectors on, it had one steam injector on one side hidden under the fenders in the side of the engine, but they left the steam and the crosshead pump on the other side of the engine. Now, I do some N scale modeling too. And the funny thing is, any of you guys ever picked up one of the Atlas 440s that they do they're pretty nice. They copied that. They didn't know what they were doing. So all their 440s have a crosshead pump on one side and nothing on the other side. Oh, well. Here's I've got the snifter valves on this again, which a lot of us model. And again, here's some of the flag poles where I managed to do a lathe out of the Dremel tool. And also all this copper painting, if you will, on the running boards. That's all that copper foil I found.
Oh.
It's a tape. That's really beautiful. It's a bitch to get it on and not want to run away, but once you do, and again, these, I got these builder's plates from you, Tom.
Oh, right. Okay.
I
have a question, right? How did you get this like pointed thing happening over top of that?
This whole thing is from Shapeways. The whole steam chest, and that's all from Shapeways for the grant. So I can't take any claim to that. Yeah, that's the way they come from Shapeways when you buy the set of cylinders from them. And again, this is the real McCoy's lube injectors on the top of the slide valve box. And you guys have seen the lamps on the front. Let's move on. Tom?
Yeah. I'm back.
Oh, okay.
The lamps here?
Yeah, that's just a picture of it. Now, what this is, see on this, and this was a conversation of, first of all, some stuff with you, Tom, and then relaying it to John, who made it in reality. First of all, you can't really see by this picture, but the color of this engine is different than the rest of them. It's a darker red, which I thought it probably would be. The other engines looked a little muddy brown to me. It's kind of hard to tell in pictures. But the other thing that I did, that I took liberty on, was I thought that with an engine like this, being such highly decorated and such a special engine, why would they just have the cylinder, the saddles for the domes, just the same red, everything the same red? And I said, I'm going to do it just like they did the frame, the tender trucks, and the headlight bracket. And so I did them in green. I just thought it was more colorful, and that was just as much my take as anything.
Right.
So there you go.
Cool.
Oh, there's some other pictures. Oh yeah, this is where I put what do you call them? The hinges on the toolbox on the back. And this is, I don't know if many of you guys know about, this is a link and pin coupler box that's made by Precision Scale, that you don't have to do anything to put it on and make it work. Every other one I ever worked with, you had to drill them out and tool them. So I just thought that you guys should look for that if you want. And then here, has Jerry Dobb ever shown up yet?
Jerry Dobb will never show up, but
I don't
Jerry
mean Dobb,
hasn't.
I mean Dykstra.
No.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
I wanted to tease him a little bit.
Yeah, about the broken.
Yeah, the broken fenders. I didn't do that. Okay, I didn't do that. But apparently, Al had trouble with it. John had trouble with it, and I told Jerry, "Why don't you do it so that what Mantua did and make the fender a little thicker in the back, so they don't break?" I mean, you just look at them; they broke. Well, anyway, I fixed these with brass. I said, "That's enough. They won't break." So just a little fun thing. Now, this is interesting. These are a bitch. I had to make these, and I don't have any milling machines or anything. These are all tiny little brass plates that I had to solder all the wires onto to get them. You can see that that's how you get electricity on both sides, both plus and minus. It works great. I assume that this was, again, a collaboration between Al and John and Jerry, these trucks. But boy, when there's nobody around and you got to figure out how to do it, it was a little funny.
Right.
I got it. They work great. They work great. And of course, this is me trying to get to solder them on with holding them, the wires with tape, and soldering them while they're clipped to the board. And then when they'd be done, you'd see up at the, getting towards the locomotive, they would be done. Then I would have to crazy glue those onto the top of the truck because they'd want to just spin completely out of control when you tighten the screw down. So these are just little things that we all learn as modelers, that you're learning as you go.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
So, and that's again the grant up there, kind of half together.
Right.
No. And what do we got next?
I think that's it. That's it.
I think that's it. Well, there you go.
Fabulous. Any questions, comments for Rhett?
Yeah, I do. Oops.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. Sorry, I'm getting in here late. Couldn't get into the meeting, and then I didn't look at my email, and I'm sure the invite was sitting there
Oh,
for the
who's this?
last half
Walter?
hour.
Oh,
But I came in looking at the crosshead guides. Talking about a one-piece crosshead guide.
Yes.
The ones that I got from Al are the two-piece you have to solder together. What is this one piece, and where do I get one?
They were horrible. And you talk to Jerry, and he's got that. You can get them from Shapeways. He actually made the rods that go with the crosshead guides, but unfortunately, he had used the wrong numbers for the holes to drill. So the crossheads the rods won't work with the Mantua wheels. The only thing they would work with is the Rumford. They're just too small. I've been trying to ride them to get them to make them the right size. But if you talk to Jerry, you can get the crossheads, and they're perfect. They've got the top looks correct on them, and you slide the piston up underneath, with the little piece of brass tubing that you put, on the end of the piston rod.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh. Yeah, I looked on Jerry's old boat guy Shapeways store lately, and I didn't see him. So maybe they're one of those things you got to ask about, eh?
Yeah, you have to ask him. Yeah.
Okay.
He's kind of funny. He kind of doesn't follow through, but he keeps telling me the grant was meant to be a model for me and Tom and John and Al. I was like, yeah, well, with that attitude, it's going to stay that way.
I like any other questions or comments for Rhett?
True enough. Okay.
All right. Great, guys.
Cool. Nice work, Rhett. It's just gorgeous work. Gorgeous work.
Beautiful.
All you guys.
Great.
Beautiful.
Yeah, all of you guys. Unbelievable.
Dang.
Beautiful.
Wow. And we're just about there. So appreciation to everybody that sent me the photos. And Don, thanks for putting that together. I know John, you were ready to show. So we have a few minutes. Is there anything you'd like to show, or do you want to?
Oh no. I don't want to follow those acts.
Oh, stop it. Keep that up.
Yeah.
Spanking.
I figure we have a couple of minutes. I got one more photo I'd like to show.
Please. Yep.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I gotta find it. Here we go. These are two other engines I reworked.
Yeah.
And they're both from commercial locomotives. The one in the far corner, the engine was one of the Pacific Fast Mail V&T Renos. And I used a photograph of the prototype engine. Was built in the 1860s. It was a Danforth engine. And then basically changed the domes, the bells to look more like a Danforth. By the time it reached my railroad, my prototype that I'm modeling, the Central Pacific had gotten at it and put one of their special stacks on that was peculiar to the CP. And
great.
That was turned. Then this tender was left over from a William Crookes, but it had the right kind of trucks and it was the right size for the engine. Now the one in the foreground, the engine is a William Crookes, but I thought it would be an easy conversion. It had a straight boiler. I've got for the prototype engine, I've got a perfect broadside picture and some of the dimensions for the wheels and whatnot, so I could determine the others, and it was almost a perfect match. So I got it up there and I started looking at it, and the Crookes boiler was too small. okay, my cab wasn't quite right, so I ended up replacing the boiler. I built a new cab out of styrene. That's just 2 thicknesses of styrene to get the window effects in it.
Mm.
And then I had to lengthen the distance between the pilot truck and the drivers. So that was just one solder joint and moved it ahead. And then I realized the cylinders were way too small, the cylinders on the crooks.
Aye.
So I had to make a whole new set of cylinders on something I thought was going to be an easy conversion. The domes are Mason domes for precision scale, and the headlight, you don't see it too much in this picture. You can't really see it much better, a little bit better, but anyway, it's a Mason style bell frame.
Wow. Cool.
And so something that turned out I thought to be easy ended up taking a lot longer than I wanted. The builder's plate, again, was based on the photo I had, and it turned out it was a decal I applied over a piece of clear plastic. So it looks like it's one piece with with holes in it. And the tinder was one I got from somewhere. I had it sitting around. I think it was from a Union Pacific, Central Pacific, Golden Spike set. The engine was screwed up, so I had an extra tinder.
How did you make the stuff on the side?
What stuff?
The filigree and the writing and everything.
Oh, the decals?
Yeah.
That's all
Is that
artwork. I did the artwork in Adobe Illustrator. Now I've got an Alps printer, so I printed it out, printed the decals out on that.
So you can print gold.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? I'm your newest, oldest, best friend. Everything you're doing, I want.
Well, you notice I use the same type of lubricators you do.
Yes, I did. I noticed that. And I was like, yeah, all right.
Got a stack of those. It's little things like that. It's nice to have.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing.
I'm sorry, but are you guys familiar with that story about that's the real McCoy?
Oh, right. Yeah.
That comes from the guy that invented these lubricators was a black guy, and his name was McCoy. So when they first came into existence, people would walk around because they work so much better than all the others, and they go, "Is that a real McCoy?" Yes, it is, and so is everything else. So that's where that comes from. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Hey, Don, I have a question about the top of your cab. It's gray.
Yes.
They would have painted it gray, yes?
I don't know for certain, Tom.
Okay.
What I wanted it to represent was a piece of canvas.
Oh, got it.
Painted over there.
Guess what? I've got the perfect thing.
Hmm.
Take a piece of emery cloth.
Yeah, that would work.
Cut it out and put that on top of it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
beautiful.
Anyway, that was one of the, like I say, one of those projects from where.
Well,
where is where?
Southlands. I mean, like way south.
Yeah, it's H, but it's not Houston.
Right.
The only thing that is different is I needed to have couplers on the front.
Yep.
And I don't use Lincoln pins.
Right.
I'm modeling a little later than that, so they all have to have, KD couplers. But I don't think it looks too bad.
Horrible. It's just forget about it. I can't bear to look at it.
I'll go down and throw it away.
And we'll
throw it in a mailbox to 641 Girard Avenue. I'll make sure it's destroyed.
Well, it's interesting because when I was starting out to do this era, I liked the long pilots, but you can't run KD couplers with them because of the uncoupling loop. You have to push the coupler out so far that either it looks ridiculous and you start derailing things when you go around curves.
Wow.
But otherwise, you know, and if you set them back about where they're supposed to go, the uncoupling pin gets underneath the pilot. And so anyway, I ended up taking all those pins out.
Right.
And everything works much nicer. They have the appearance I like, and you know, I'm happy with it. So that's
great.
That's the best thing, I guess.
Good. Gentlemen, I can leave you on here, but I'm going to have to move